Tonight, U.S. officials are keeping a close eye on contacts between North Korea and Russia as a potential meeting between Kim Jong-un and Vladimir Putin may be in the works. Joining me now to talk about this, a member of the House Intelligence Committee, Democratic Congressman Krishnamoorthi. Congressman, thanks for joining us. Happy Labor Day. Appreciate you coming on. What is your reaction to this potential meeting between Pyongyang and Moscow to discuss an arms deal? That sounds pretty concerning. What would the ramifications of that be?
Well, happy Labor Day. And yes, it is concerning. It appears that North Korea has wanted to violate various UN Security Council resolutions and sell arms to the Russians for some time now. But the price they demanded, namely important technology for satellite launches as well as nuclear submarine technology, has been viewed by China and Russia as very steep. I think that, quite frankly, both sides are a little more desperate right now. On the one hand, as you can see in Ukraine, the Ukrainians have taken the initiative, breaking through front lines near Zaporizhia, and the Russians are running out of artillery. And then, of course, in North Korea, the famine goes on and has become even more acute. And so perhaps they are more motivated to do a deal.
And Congressman, does this potential meeting suggest to you, it sounds like this is what you're saying, that Russia has been unable to get military equipment it desperately needs and is sort of turning to North Korea out of desperation because, in part, they can't get what they need out of China?
I think that's in part correct. Remember, the North Korean artillery shells that have been supplied around the world are kind of shoddy. They're not the best in their arsenal, and they usually sell the stuff that they're not going to use. And so the fact that the Russians are so desperate for North Korean artillery says something about the state of affairs in Ukraine. And I think that the meeting, if it goes forward, is going to be illuminating on the situation and the desperation the Russians are facing.
And Congressman, let's turn to some of the upcoming developments here in Washington. House Republicans could soon vote on an impeachment inquiry into President Biden. What do you think of that? Is there anything Democrats can do to stop it?
Well, I think Democrats like myself on the House Oversight Committee need to keep speaking up about the quote unquote evidence that we see being presented by the other side with regard to the president's wrongdoing, namely that there is none. There's not a shred, not an iota of evidence of wrongdoing presented about President Biden, let alone any kind of evidence of high crimes and misdemeanors. So it amounts to what my colleague, Republican Ken Buck, has said, which is it's just impeachment theater. It's absolute fiction.
And the House has just 12 legislative days to avoid a government shutdown. Speaker McCarthy and Leader Schumer on the Senate side both say they want to pass a short-term bill to avoid that. But as you know, there are some hardline Republicans in that GOP conference who are opposed to that, and they're asking for some items that are just non-starters with a big chunk of both the House and the Senate. How do you avert a shutdown in that kind of a scenario?
I think that Kevin McCarthy should, instead of giving in to these hardliners on the extreme right, actually do a deal with the Democrats. There are a lot of us who will work with him, and Minority Leader Jeffries has done an excellent job of reaching out to the Speaker to try to work with him, to try to keep the government functioning. I hope that he reciprocates. But a government shutdown is absolutely unacceptable. We lived through a 35-day shutdown during the Trump years, and seniors suffered because the Social Security Administration wasn't able to help them. Active duty military wasn't being paid on time, and people who were disaster struck weren't able to get the aid that they needed from FEMA. So this is absolutely unacceptable.
All right, Congressman Krishnamoorthi, thank you very much for your time. Again, happy Labor Day. Thanks for coming on.
Same to you.